Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
Japan says North Korea has fired another test missile which has landed in waters off its coast. It's the latest in a series of tests by North Korea amid growing international concern about its nuclear ambitions. Well, we can speak now to our correspondent Rupert Wingfield-Hayes, who's in Tokyo for us. And Rupert, what more do we know about what happened?
Well, actually, this test is not unexpected. It's been on the cards. We thought it was going to happen on Thursday. That was the anniversary of the end of the Korean War, which is marked in North Korea as Victory Day. And North Korea likes to do these sorts of things on significant anniversaries. And so that, we think, was probably delayed because of very bad weather over North Korea. But tonight, the launch has come. The missile flew for about 45 minutes, which is longer than previous tests, and it landed further north, close to the Japanese island of Hokkaido. And the Japanese government is certainly saying that it landed, they think, inside Japan's exclusive economic zone. The American, Japanese and South Korean specialists will now be scrambling to do the telemetry to see not just how far it flew, but how high this missile flew, because that will give them an indication of what its full range might be. Back on July the 4th, the previous test showed that it could fly about 7,500 kilometres, enough to reach the west coast of the United States. This one, perhaps, will be able to fly further. That's what they will be looking at.
OK, Rupert, thank you.
North Korea has hailed as a success its latest test of an intercontinental ballistic missile, describing it as a stern warning for the United States. The regime says the missile reached a height of 2,300 miles before landing 47 minutes later, more than 600 miles away, somewhere in the sea off Japan. That was far higher than its previous test earlier this month. Experts have said that the missile may have a range of over 6,000 miles, which is far enough to target some cities on the US mainland. From Seoul in South Korea, here's our correspondent Karen Allen.
Cloaked in darkness, state-run TV captured the final moments before the missile launch. A potent symbol of North Korea's defiance in the face of international sanctions. Its leader, Kim Jung-Un, there to witness it all. Then the dramatic liftoff. And the moment that Pyongyang thumbed its nose at the world. The second launch of an intercontinental ballistic missile in less than a month. It travelled higher and further than the missile fired before, eventually splashing down into the ocean off the coast of Japan. Then came the official confirmation from Pyongyang, the newsreader announcing that this test was proof that the whole of the US is now within reach. Pictures show a triumphant North Korean leader. In Washington, President Trump described the tests as reckless and dangerous. The reaction from North Korea's neighbour in the south was equally harsh.
South Korea strongly condemns the reckless act, dashing the international community's hopes of eased inter-Korean military tensions, and in particular, Seoul's offer of bilateral military talks.
These joint US-South Korea military drills are a response to the launch, designed to send a clear message that Seoul and Washington stand shoulder to shoulder in the face of an increasingly belligerent North Korea. The US already has battleships in the Pacific Ocean. Now it's promised to scale up its strategic assets in response to this latest threat. More aircraft carriers and stealth bombers could soon be on the way. A jubilant Kim Jong-un wants US recognition as a nuclear power. Instead, in the wake of another missile test, he's likely to face stiffer sanctions, with China and Russia under pressure not to stand in the way. Karen Allen, BBC News, Seoul.
President Trump's chief of staff, Reince Priebus, has resigned after days of public infighting at the White House and amid repeated failures by the administration to fulfill key election pledges. Mr. Trump has replaced him with John Kelly, a former general who he praised for his work as head of Homeland Security.
General Kelly has been a star, done an incredible job thus far, respected by everybody, a great, great American. Reince Priebus, a good man. Thank you very much.
OK, well, let's pick up then with our correspondent Laura Bickett in Washington. What's going on, Laura? Why has he had to go?
Well, Reince Priebus never seemed to have the confidence of the president. He was appointed as chief of staff because he was a Republican insider. He knew how to work those levers in Washington. But Donald Trump once described him as weak and often questioned his loyalty. So for his replacement, he seems to have turned to a political outsider, General John Kelly, who could install discipline in a tumultuous White House staff. However, he has no political experience. And this distraction, as you've seen, is coming at a particularly difficult time. Mr. Trump's strategy to deal with North Korea doesn't appear to be working. So much now depends on him getting his own house in order so they can deal with bigger problems.
Laura, thank you very much.
The missile launch lit up the night sky and immediately ignited the usual war of words. Pyongyang's official news agency had some choice ones for what it called the Yankees, promising to teach them some manners. America responded by blaming China and Russia. The US Secretary of State saying they bore unique and special responsibility as the principal economic enablers of North Korea's nuclear weapons program. Donald Trump, meanwhile, picked an adjective which has been applied to his own presidency: reckless. So after his latest firing of his chief of staff, can Trump's hiring of a four-star general bring order to Washington chaos? Here, after violent protests in East London about the deaths of two black men, their parents call for calm and for justice. Well, there's been condemnation and concern around the world after North Korea's latest missile launch. South Korea expressed anxieties that its northern neighbour may have made significant advance in its technology. Japan's Prime Minister warned of a grave and real threat to his country's security. The question now, though, is how one unpredictable president, Donald Trump, responds to another in Pyongyang. Our Asia correspondent Jonathan Miller reports.
Just as it looked like Donald Trump's week couldn't get much worse, Marshal Kim's green truck was trundling through the night and into position. This is Trump's worst nightmare on wheels. Personally inspected by Kim Jong-Un himself pre-launch, the defiant dictator retreated to his gallery to watch this milestone moment. North Korea's 11th ballistic missile this year, its second ICBM within a month, crossed a new threshold. Its lofted trajectory meant it went up 2,314 miles and flew for 47 minutes. Fired directly east, this missile could probably have reached LA or Chicago. One expert even said New York. The continental USA is within Kim's reach.
The Supreme Leader proudly said that the reliability of our ICBM system has been reconfirmed, demonstrating our ability to attack at any time from any place. All US territory is within our firing range.
In Pyongyang this morning, they watched and cheered and marveled at their prowess. This breathless woman said tens of millions bow low to thank our Supreme Leader for arousing this spirit of triumph. CCTV pictures in Japan appeared to catch the rocket's final plunge into the sea just off the island of Hokkaido. Japan's Prime Minister was somber. The threat is real, he said. Severe. South Korea's president urged the North to awaken from what he called its vain illusion. His offer of dialogue ignored, he's suddenly become more hawkish. South Korea and the US conducted joint live-fire exercises this morning, to demonstrate American commitment to its allies. A Trump statement called North Korea reckless. Satellite imagery of the north at night, sandwiched between South Korea and China, shows well the darkness of its impoverishment. But daylight pictures indicate that another nuclear test could happen any time. That's what the regime spends its money on. Kim claims to have miniaturized a nuclear warhead, but even if he's bluffing, experts say it won't be long before he can launch one at the USA. In January, Trump tweeted, "That won't happen." But if it ever does, US interceptor missiles have just a 50% success rate, and Kim is capable of multiple simultaneous launches. A preemptive strike on his nuclear sites risks regional conflagration. Sanctions and sabotage haven't stopped him. China's failed to rein him in, and he's not interested in talking. Acceptance of a Cold War-style mutually assured destruction may prove to be the only way to calm this insecure, belligerent dictator.
Jonathan Miller reporting there.